Well, once again, thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. My idea is to tell you a little bit about what I do, what we do in Green Momentum, and part of what we do is to focus in Latin America and try to identify opportunities for investors, for entrepreneurs in different countries, mainly in Mexico, Brazil, Chile, and Argentina. Part of the focus today is going to be Mexico. This presentation is normally a presentation I use to describe opportunities in many countries, but because of the Mexican talent network, being Mexican the key component here, I kind of shortened the sections for other countries, although I'm talking about Chile somewhere there. And, but I'm going to focus a little bit in Mexico. And also the idea is to have a conversation, so please interrupt me at any point, and you know, we can talk about anything you want. And if I don't know, normally I'll ask Rodolfo because he knows everything and he'll help me. Okay? So, well, I'll skip this slide and I'll go to misconceptions. I like to start normally these type of presentations with what is it that people don't understand to justify the next 3 slides. Normally I start talking about definitions. We need to define what CleanTech is. I mean, the title of the conference is CleanTech Opportunities, but most people have absolutely no idea what CleanTech is. Part of what Green Momentum does is educate the market. We try to go to Latin American countries and we try to promote clean technology, but a lot of the time when we are doing that, we encounter that the people are not ready for clean technology. I swear, you're not gonna believe me, but I swear these are true answers from a poll that we had. When we asked people, what do you understand for clean technology? A lot of people went for washing machines, detergent, and things like that. And I'm not lying to you, I was as surprised as you were. We really were talking about solar panels, wind technology, etc. But people were talking about that, and that was kind of funny. When we talk about global warming, I swear people were talking about Cancun. People were thinking like, oh, the weather's gonna get so much better. 2 degrees in the world, you know, this is gonna be awesome. And they don't really think about what really is the effect of global warming, which is the glaciers are melting, and if the temperature rises 2 degrees, we're all gonna die. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Also, when we talk about Denmark, people think about pastries. People think about Danish, and this wasn't part of the poll, but I thought it would be funny to put it there anyway. But when we talk about Denmark right now, we're talking about COP15. We're talking about the climate summit, which is taking place last week and this week in Copenhagen, and where different governments are trying to agree on what to do now that we are all, you know, very hot here. What is it that we can do to prevent us from dying again? So, and then Latin America, which is the other part of the presentation. When you ask people about Latin America, they think about, you know, carnival, party, soccer, things like that. And they don't really think about all the issues that come in Latin America. Latin America is an overpopulated, very crowded area, part of the world, which consumes a lot of resources and has a problem balancing all the elements of what we call sustainable development, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And then when we talk about the future, people think about this. People think about Blade Runner, people think about flying machines, and they don't really think about WALL-E. They don't think about where the future is really going to be if we don't do something about it at this point. So, because of these misconceptions, you're going to have to apologize. I'm going to have to apologize because I'm going to start defining what CleanTech is. So when we talk about CleanTech, we talk about knowledge-based products. We're talking about something that is developed as an end product that is built to improve efficiency, to reduce consumption, to clean the environment, mitigate climate change. There are 2 definitions that people throw around. One of them is from the CleanTech group, which I don't know if you're familiar with the CleanTech group. Have you ever heard of it? But if you're interested in CleanTech, go and check them out. They are almost my competition if I were 23 million times bigger in Green Momentum. They are a very interesting group. There are a bunch of VCs and a bunch of entrepreneurs that got together and created this, and actually they defined CleanTech for the first time. And then there is CleanEdge, which is a very interesting market intelligence firm that competes with Green Momentum if we were bigger, once again. But they have another definition, and their definition is also, it's very similar. At the end of the day, what they refer to as CleanTech is an end product. They're talking about something that is used to cut or eliminate emissions and waste. So, a lot of the time when we're talking about CleanTech, people start talking about sustainability. And it's not very easy to understand what the relationship is between CleanTech and sustainability. Sustainability, if we go to the United Nations, for example, in 1983 or somewhere around that, they decided, the UN decided, you know what, there's a problem with pollution, we need to do something about it. They were like, okay, so what do we do? Yeah, well, no, we need to be responsible for it. And then they commissioned a report that was going to describe what is it that the world needs to do to promote sustainable development. And then the first thing they did was to define sustainable development. So if I were to read this, and I'm going to read it, it would be the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Basically, this is the official definition, accepted definition of sustainable development. And it is a very important definition, but also the United Nations Environment Programme and the World Wildlife Fund have another definition for sustainability, which was derived precisely from the Brundtland Commission report. And the definition is improve the quality of human life while living within the carrying capacity of supporting ecosystems. Do you know what carrying capacity is? Anybody knows what that is? Carrying capacity is pretty much the ability of any ecosystem to support life given the resources. If we think about it, and we think about people living in the Middle East, there is a resource that they don't have. There is a resource which is water. The ecosystem in the Middle East is not enough. The carrying capacity has been exceeded in terms of resources, specifically water. This is an example of what carrying capacity is. So one of the problems with carrying, the way we exceed the carrying capacity a lot of the time is because of overpopulation. We continue to grow in the world, and it is projected by 2050 we're going to be 9 billion people. Most of them living in China, but a lot of them living in the US and Latin America. In developing countries, we have a particular problem. Because of cultural, religious reasons, people continue to procreate. We continue to grow. It is predicted that it's going to be 7.9 billion in 2050, just in developing countries. And when we talk developing countries, we are talking about India, China also, as well as Latin American countries. So what happens when we have overpopulation? What happens when we exceed the carrying capacity of the ecosystem? What happens is we have an ecological deficit. This ecological deficit needs to be corrected all the time, and the way we correct this ecological deficit is promoting world trade. Basically promoting trade to satisfy the needs that we cannot meet with our own resources. The other way we do it is we exploit, what it says in there, taking things from the past. And we're talking about fossil fuels. We're going to exploit what's in the subsoil. And also, we take from the future. The definition of sustainable development is to do something without compromising the future. And basically what we're doing is deforestation. We're compromising the future of future generations. What happens when we have an ecological deficit is that we have an increase in consumption. The increase in consumption can be in food, water, energy, or materials. The increase in consumption leads to our need to exploit resources. Because we need to exploit the resources, we need to find new ways of cultivating crops. We need to find new ways of bringing water from far places. We need to find a way of generating energy and getting new materials. For example, and here I like to talk about this all the time because it's a very interesting thing. There are a couple of extremely rare earth materials. Have you ever heard the term rare earth materials before? It's two minerals that are very rare in the environment. You cannot find them anywhere. You find them only in China, in Australia, and in California. But in California, you find like 0.001% of the total. They have a very bizarre name. I can't remember. One of them is terbium, and the other one is porcium, something bizarre. But anyway, these two elements are absolutely necessary for lithium-ion batteries, the ones that you have in your iPhone, the ones you have in your Mac. And the one who controls this is China. It's funny, you know, because the mines that are in Australia, the mines that are in California, they're all owned by China. And when we're talking about increasing consumption, China has already seen the future, has already seen that everybody's going to need an iPhone, a computer, an electric vehicle that uses lithium-ion batteries. So they're exploding these mines. They are not being responsible, and they're increasing the consumption of specific materials. The interesting thing is that these materials are very, very deep in the earth. So we pretty much have to destroy the entire ecosystem around it to get them out. But we all here continue to use Macs, continue to use iPhones, continue to use